Senator from Nevada.
Thank you. Mr. President, I rise today to discuss Senate Bill 744, the Border Security, Economic Opportunity, and Immigration Modernization Act. From the very beginning of this debate, I have said that our nation needs immigration reform. I've also urged Senate leadership to ensure that the Senate has ample opportunity to debate this bill, amend it, and take the hard votes necessary to make the bill as good as it can be. To ignore this problem and to do nothing to change the status quo would be a disservice to the American people and a great detriment to our country. I've also said throughout this process that in order to enact meaningful, comprehensive immigration reform, we have to strengthen border security. It's true that the border security portion of the underlying bill needs significant improvement. And through the hard work and negotiations led by my colleagues, Senator Hoeven, Senator Corker, the border security portion of this legislation has been addressed. And for that reason, I can support this bill. The Hoeven-Corker amendment, which I co-sponsored, adds 20,000 additional Border Patrol agents to the southern border. It requires twice the original amount of fencing along the border, 700 miles total to be exact, and requires the Department of Homeland Security to implement a border fencing strategy to help ensure the fence is an effective deterrent. It also mandates the E-Verify system to be fully implemented before any registered provisional immigrant can adjust their status. This will help make sure that businesses have safe and legal workforce. And the amendment requires an electronic entry-exit system to all international air and seaports of entry where U.S. Customs and Border Protection officers are currently deployed. By increasing and enhancing security efforts at our borders, by using new technology that will allow us to better monitor activities at our borders, we will ensure that those that are here lawfully and that they have the opportunity to thrive and succeed just like many generations of American immigrants have done. To do nothing now amounts to de facto amnesty for 11 million people who are already here illegally. We must take action to prevent further unlawful entry. The current system is backwards and it's broken. This legislation represents a product of many long hours of debate, discussion, and deliberation in this body. It addresses a problem in our country that requires dramatic change and meaningful reform. While this bill is just one step in the process, it is a step in the right direction. It takes into consideration the necessity of securing America's borders while encouraging the lawful immigration of those who come or would come to our shores to contribute to America's greatness, as immigrants have done since our nation's founding. In the past, attempts to reform our immigration system failed due to a process that was neither transparent nor fair. But from the Judiciary Committee proceedings to today, the Senate has had ample opportunity to debate this legislation and amend it. As a result, we have a bill where the good far outweighs the bad. With this legislation, we can address the 11 million undocumented individuals living in the country under de facto amnesty. We can finally secure our borders and stop more people from living here illegally. And we can fix a system that has been broken for decades once and for all. We can continue to maintain the smartest, hardest working, most creative workforce in the world. Fighting for what you believe in and working with members from both sides of the aisle does not mean you're turning your back on your principles. Democrats and Republicans can find ways to work together and pass legislation that this great nation deserves. Republicans can do so and still stay true to their conservative principles. No question, this has been a contentious debate. My constituents feel strongly about this issue on both sides of the spectrum. Some reporters in Nevada like to harp on the fact that my work to find a solution between Democrats and Republicans has been politically motivated. One such reporter even retorted to describing my actions in racially insensitive terms. The bottom line, the easy thing to do politically is nothing. the harder choice is to govern. We must remember that long before America was the great nation that we are today, before we were the world's greatest economy, a military superpower, a global champion for democracy that has forever changed human history, America was merely an idea. America began as an idea in the hearts of minds of a persecuted minority that longed for freedom and the opportunity to decide for themselves what their destiny would be. That idea was brought here by immigrants who crossed the oceans and devoted themselves to the formation of a free society unlike any world had ever known. America has always been a nation of immigrants, and that heritage is one of the defining aspects of our national success story. Mr. President, when I think about a true American immigrant success story, I think about one of my constituents back home, Mr. Carlos Piera. Carlos came to America from Peru in the 1990s. He and his wife, Kathia, set out to build their very own bakery. But they wanted to build more than a bakery. They wanted to build a new life for themselves and for their children. And they did just that. They built a bakery with their bare hands. They laid the bricks and hammered the nails, and after a lot of long nights and hard work, they built Bond Breads in Las Vegas. Today, their company is a world-renowned, internationally respected enterprise. And their products are used by chefs and restaurants all over the world. Bond Breads is responsible for creating hundreds of jobs in Nevada and is a perfect example of what our immigration system should encourage. Carlos's hard work, dedication, perseverance allowed him and his business to succeed in a way that would be impossible in many other countries today. And I have 3 naturalized citizens on my staff about whom I can say the exact same thing. That's a true immigrant success story. That's the kind of potential we can unlock by fixing what's broken with our current system. We can improve our economy, create jobs, and strengthen our nation as a whole with this immigration reform bill. Or we can choose to protect the status quo, do nothing to fix the overall problem. Mr. President, this bill is a step forward towards much-needed reform to our immigration system. It is true to the American idea that has defined our nation since its founding, the idea that is inscribed on the Statue of Liberty, welcoming the tired, the poor, and the huddled masses yearning to breathe free. Former Secretary of State Condoleezza Rice made a profound statement recently that in America, it doesn't matter where you came from. It only matters where you are going. Our immigration laws should embody that principle and enable good, hardworking people to come here, study hard, start businesses, raise families, and contribute as productive citizens. The bill before us is a good step towards preserving that idea. And so I urge my colleagues to join me in supporting this immigration reform bill. Mr. President, thank you, and I yield the floor.
Mr. President.